Hey guys, hang in here. We're going to get Krista on the line. Welcome to the Breathe Pulse. Just hang in there. We've got an exciting show for tonight. Oh, looks like we've got some people hopping in here. All right, we're going to about live right now. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Oh, hey. The magic is about to start. Look
I think I made it work.
We are live. Welcome to the Breathe Pulse, everybody. We've got Krista van Parys here.
Hello.
Hey, Krista, nice t-shirt.
Thanks. This is my favorite one. It's actually from a year before I started coming, but I think, yeah, that's hilarious. Same one.
Very nice, very nice. Well, thank you for joining tonight.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Well, for everybody that's tuning in, this is the Breathe Pulse. Some of you have been to our festival that happens every year in Indiana, but the Breathe Pulse is a new way for us to outreach to the community to keep the Breathe vibes going throughout the entire year. So these take shape in gatherings, these take shape in Instagram live sessions, webinars, YouTube channels, you name it. The Breathe Pulse is all about it. So we're trying to keep that energy that lives within inside of you and our community here with all of you tonight. So Krista, amazing friend of mine. I've known Krista for a little over 7 years, or well, maybe about 5 years actually.
About 5 years. Yeah.
About 5 years. So let's do a little bit of introductions. Krista, why don't you tell our folks who you are? A little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Krista. I'm normally located in Colorado. I am a professional snowboard instructor and instructor trainer. I've done everything from teach 2-year-olds to teach people on a World Cup team in Australia. So I've really kind of run the full course of like education for movement in that capacity. I'm absolutely in love with slacklining and highlining. Also coach at a facility called Woodward, where we do all different types of action sports, including snowboarding and cheerleading, which I coach as well. So a little bit of a background in gymnastics there. So all around, I think I should just put coach under my name because it's what I am passionate about doing. And most recently, I am on the education committee for the International Slackline Association, so I'm contributing materials and ideas to kind of facilitate the progress that they're making for our own education, which is really super exciting to be on like an international level with that. So yeah, very excited.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Well, for everybody that's tuning in, my name is Dakota Collins. I'm one of the co-founders of Breathe, alongside many others. I've been with Breathe since its inception, and we're going 7 years strong, and we're only seeing the beginning of it. So, Krista and I met at a slackline location in Steamboat Springs. Our first time hanging out was highlining over a waterfall, which was pretty cool. And from day one, I saw Krista's commitment and passion for slacklining. So we've had a strong bond for many years, and slacklining's been that common denominator. But I've also had the opportunity to snowboard with Krista. If anybody's looking for the workout of their life, visit Krista at Vail Resorts, and she will take you to every street run you can imagine, and your calves will be on fire by the end of the day.
That's awesome.
So Krista's an amazing athlete, slackliner, snowboarder, cheerleader, you name it, she's got that natural talent. And Krista, you want to tell everybody kind of what we're going to be talking about tonight? Women in action sports. What does that mean? What's your take on it?
Yeah, it's an interesting backstory because I wasn't the woman that was empowered by women. I didn't go to like women's clinics or women's retreats or any of those things. It's not something that really appealed to me. And then I kind of fell into a situation where I was sent to a Burton snowboard, like I want to call it an academy, and part of it was a day of women specific training, women specific gear, and I really learned a lot about the platform. If you don't know, Burton Snowboards does a ton of women's research. They have a female CEO, Donna Carpenter. She's been running the company for many, many years. So it really kind of fueled and stoked the fire and showed me like how much we really need that women-specific material, and how we can thrive in that environment. And I wanted to make sure that I let you guys know that I do understand the full spectrum of gender. And so tonight I'm going to be speaking in kind of a binary sense of women, but I am welcome to whatever you identify with, whatever you feel. These things can all come together as one. And yeah, you're welcome here at Breathe, and you're welcome in the women's community. When I run these clinics, I always say that anyone can join, and I just let the women in the group, those that identify, make a choice as to the participation of those who identify as male. So there's my bit on that. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that they're welcome in this forum.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Chris. I think it's apparent that, you carry a lot of passion within your life, and that's just something that I've seen since the first day I met you. So let's just get the audience a little bit engaged here. And why don't we just say, everybody go ahead and throw a comment in the bar below. What are you most passionate about right now, or what's one thing that you are just really stoked on life? And go ahead and comment in there. The way this works is the more interaction you guys participate, the more questions, comments you're throwing in there, the more fun it's going to be. So, Krista, what are you really stoked on right now? What are you passionate about?
I'm really stoked on the time and opportunity to do those things that normally are kind of like shrug off. This being one of them. I know we talked about this months ago, and I literally said, like, I can't even have the brain power for this until May. Like, just May. Like, let's think about May. And here it is, April 1st, and we're able to do that because we really have the time. I'm also remodeling my van. I'm super passionate about getting that done and dialed, and that's something that I wouldn't have had the time for, and it turns out it really needed some work. So, super stoked on having time and space to do those things that on a daily basis, because of occupations and activities, I have to kind of shrug off. So I'm kind of welcoming that part of this phase that we're in right now.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, if you guys are just tuning in, this is the Breathe Pulse. We've got Krista van Parys. This is Women in Action Sports. We're going to go ahead and dive into it a little bit now. Krista, you've been an amazing coach for many years. I think you've been a big influence to a lot of female athletes. As a female in action sports, what are some of the challenges that you've come across, and just in your experience?
Mostly just, I think when we look in the broader media, and I'm going to say very specifically outside of our slackline community, because we have a little golden nugget that I'll get to in a moment with slacklining and highlining that I think is super special about that particular sport. But, overall we see that women's soccer, if anybody has seen what's happened there, the women's teams aren't getting paid as much, and there's some kind of friction there. I saw some statistics today on what women get paid as professional skaters. 20 women made it to the Vans tour, and only 9 were able to participate because of financial reasons. Their overall cash purse was 10 times less than the male cash purse. So when we live in an environment that doesn't value women in action sports as much, it's easy to kind of just feel that maybe you don't belong. But with some of the research with Burton, we're finding out that if women are engaged in their sport, they're more deeply engaged than a male participant. And this is gonna, I'm sure to some of I mean, I snowboard like almost 170 days a year, so this was shocking to me. But the average male,
170 days a year.
yeah,
Holy cow.
I think my record right now is like 210. So yeah, the average male participant in snowboarding 6 days. The average female is 9 days. And if you look at that from a percentage, that's pretty dramatic. Um, though the sport is only about 25, 26% female, the females that are there are spending more time doing it. They're also investing more money into gear and equipment, and making those choices about which vacations to go to and where to travel. So women are very, very powerful in the industry, and yet we're not always seen as such. And so really what I want to do here is show the pathway that we're here, we're productive. We just might go about things slightly differently because we do have physical differences. We do have affective differences, which is how we feel about the sport and what our motivations for the sport are. And then we think just slightly differently than men. And, I like to say that, again, there's a full spectrum of this. So any of these points, male or female, if you identify with, this just kind of gives you like a roadmap, a different roadmap. Like I always say, we need different maps on mountains for snowboarders because all those flat areas that say slow should say fast for snowboarders. This is like we're gonna put up a right. We're gonna put up a big sign that says it's okay if you feel this way. And one of the things that happens, more notably in women, because of our evolutionary biology, is we black out. So I don't know if you've experienced, and I'll throw this question back at you, but have you ever done a snowboard jump or a highline whip, and then afterwards you're like, I didn't even know that my hand was on my leash. Why is my finger cut? I didn't know that my foot was right here. It's just like a total blackout moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can recall many whips where, like, you get done spinning, you're like, holy cow, like, what just happened?
Right?
But you got
Um,
this instinct, sure.
so that trigger for women is much more fun. So something that might not cause that blackout moment for most men will cause that situation to happen with a woman. So they come out of the experience going, oh, what happened? That's not supposed to happen. And they think, oh, yeah, oh, that wasn't right. I shouldn't be doing this, or something's wrong with me. That's not supposed to happen. Where that's actually super common, and it's more common with women. And so if we just know, well, that trigger is gonna to hit quicker, and it's gonna hit more often, and I just need to repeat that situation over and over and over again, and I will get over it. That's a good bit of information to know. Which kind of brings me to my next little point, which is spend your time on the line. When it's your turn, like time the person in front of you. If they took 32 minutes out there, girl, you take 32 minutes out there. I think so, right? So often, we scoot out as females and we're like, I don't like this feeling. Oh, look at all these people waiting on me. I don't like that either. Hey guys, who's next? I'm scooting back in. And if you just know the last person took 32 minutes, whatever you choose to do, hang on the leash, sit on the line, lay on the line, relax, look at the exposure, whatever that may be, that's all a part of the learning experience, and that's all about getting over that tripwire that kind of blacks you out and kind of like pops your head. Um, like just take the time. Take your time on the line. It's yours. And nobody, like if you're in a supportive environment like slackliners and highliners are, Nobody's going to care about that. That's your time.
Well said. Well said. Well, let's go ahead and talk about slacklining a little bit more.
Okay.
You know, I think a couple years ago we saw that um, the Highline world record was consistently being pushed. It felt like every month you'd open up your social media and you'd see a new world record that went down in the books. And for a while, it was consistently split between male and female world records. And just up until recently, this past year, we had a female athlete that walked the world record length high line. And so now we're
Twice.
starting just twice. So we're
Yeah.
seeing that, that barrier. Do you have any thoughts on just how amazing that really is?
Yeah, I mean, here's the golden nugget. Like, in how many sports do we get to say we're just 100% equal? Like, hands down, we are equal. So, I think that is a huge nugget. And for those of you that don't know, that's Mia Noble, and she walked 1.9K. Let's see, it's almost 2 years ago, a year and a half ago at this point, and then she walked 2K this last year, and so she shares that with you probably. I don't even know the male she shares it with. I think it's Lucas. Is it Lucas?
It's hard for me to keep up anymore, but yeah.
I honestly, that's funny that I know the female world record holder but not the male. That's
Well,
awesome,
that's amazing right
honestly.
there.
So, how thrilling is it that we're involved in a sport that is truly equal? And so, again, like, you're all welcome here. Spend your time there. Um, you can be as proficient as a male if you want to. And there's so many examples of lady crushers out there. I could just go on for days with names, but it's an exciting community to be in, and I feel it all the way into my stomach when I transition from slackline highline season back to snowboard season, because I come back to snowboard season and I feel the little bit more of the inequity there, even though we're coming up in the world. Kelly Clark has more wins than any other Olympian, so male or female. So it's like that exists, but we're still not getting quite the notoriety. And this is one of the things I love about slacklining and highlining is that we're equal.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so let's put it into scale here. Like, let's say, you know, maybe if you're a female, if you're anybody watching this, and you're hearing us talk about world record progressions in the slackline sports or even in the snowboarding sports, like, let's say you're not interested in trying to push that limit. Like, how else can action sport athletes measure their progress? If I'm not trying to go be a gold medal winner in the X Games or something like that. Like, how do
Yeah.
I measure my progress?
And I mean that's me absolutely. It's funny because I switch from one half the season where I have like this competence, and then I spend the other half of the season where I'm not as competent in the slackline and highline world for sure. And so I always find just little tiny measures of like what I do to like kind of feed that goal ticker. I'm a goal ticker. I don't know. Are you guys out there? Chime in. Send us a message right now. Are you there for like the experience in the moment, or do you guys kind of like that little rush of getting the next little thing ticked off the list? I'm trying to get away from that. That's been most of my life. But I just find little things I haven't done before. Like this year, my primary goal is to sit start instead of chongo on a high line. I actually sit start quite a bit um, in slacklining, but when I get on a high line, it's out the window. So here's something, it doesn't matter what length I walk, it doesn't matter if I send, it doesn't matter if I fall, I'm just trying to learn a new skill, and that's exciting to me. So that concept of lateral learning or enjoying the experience for the moment is something that's really important. And as female athletes, we tend to have more motivations that come from the extrinsic side. So, you know, I have done a solo rig, but I did it just to prove that I could do it. I didn't do it because I was like, "Ooh, I want to go solo rig." I want to go. I want to go with my friends. I want my friends to be there with me. I want it to be a good experience. My dog is knocking on the door. Um, Speaking of extrinsic, like hang out with that dude for a while. Um, so yeah, like kind of know where your motivations are. If this is something that is like a solitary experience for you, or if you like to be involved with the community, and find that place where you fit in and really feel those good vibes. And that's a way to stretch things instead of just like trying to get the next goal, the next send, the longer distance. I think I've extended mine by 40 feet in 5 years, maybe 60 feet. And I don't really care. It's just all fun and I love the community. So, yeah.
Cool. Cool. Well, for everybody that's tuning in, it's been a while since we told people kind of what we have going on right now. This is the Breathe Pulse. We've got Krista van Parys. My name is Dakota Collins. I'm with Breathe Fest. Krista, she's been there since pretty much year two, year three.
Yeah, I
Is that
think
right?
year three was my first year. Yeah.
And tonight we're talking about women in action sports. We like it when people comment below. So far, the theme for tonight is passion, and we're having everybody that's tuning in write something in the comment bar that they're passionate for. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Uh, Lauren here says that she's wanting to walk longer and longer lines. If we're talking about slacklining, I'm off that train. I met where I want to go. They then get too high for me to like risk my ankles for snowboarding. I really love my ankles and knees. And so my risk assessment is like 150 feet in the park. It goes much beyond that, and I get uncomfortable being up high in the air and taking those falls onto hard ground. Now on high lines, I'll get on any size high line. I don't care. But yeah, as far as park lines, I've decided that that's just where I'm at. I'm happy with that, and yeah, that's okay too.
Cool. Well, Krista, you're a coach for sure. Every time I'm hanging out with you, what I love is you can observe and then give constructive criticism, after I've gotten off the line, or whether or not I've hit a jump on a snowboard or whatever it is. You can really break it down in its simplest form. I mean, you taught me how to do a standing backflip in a matter of like 30 minutes when I never ever thought I could do that. And so you're a coach at heart. um, in order to be a coach, a lot of things come into play. And for you, like, what's your approach to being a coach? And would you say that you primarily focus in coaching females, or do you like coaching the youth? Kind of tell us a little bit about your coaching philosophy.
I prefer children. Yeah, I like the I like the younger generation. Typically because I'm not I don't deal too much with fear in that realm. Although I can deal with fear and I manage a lot of fears when I'm coaching with slacklining. I mean, it's just one big ball of fear that you're typically working with. Um, but what I like to do is to really ask people questions, figure out what makes them tick, figure out how I can like give them the spark, to give them a chance to love something, to bring something to their life. If somebody shows up to try to slackline, if somebody tries to show up to snowboard, to be a cheerleader, they've already taken a huge leap of faith to chuck them into this uncomfortable environment. So for most people, that's a pretty huge hurdle that they've already invested. And it's my job. They showed up. I'm going to keep them. And so I want to give them that aha moment, cultivate something that is beautiful feeling for them based on their motivations and their needs and where they're at, so that that sport, that activity opens up for them and they have a chance to love it. So it's funny, people ask me all the time, like, what levels? Oh, you have to love teaching really advanced riders better. And I always say, like, I just want somebody who's stoked on the sport. If you give me somebody that wants to be there, that showed up to snowboard, to slackline, to cheer, anything, that is what I want, because from there I can do anything with them. So even when I hired snowboard instructors, I had people come to me with like either injuries or like, oh, I forgot to turn in the 10 years I haven't been snowboarding. That's fine. If you like people and you're personable, I can teach you to snowboard. If you want to be here, I got you. So that's kind of my motto, is like, if you come to me, I got you. We'll get you there. And I'll stick with you until you got it. I'll stick with you until you're happy and you're thrilled. Like, I don't ever want people to walk away frustrated, and I will figure out a way to make sure that doesn't happen. Fun-filled facts, favorite thing to say is, you're not allowed to judge yourself at anything until you've fallen 1,000 times. So start counting. And
Oh, I like that.
right, like, just don't even try. Don't judge. Don't think. Just enjoy and count to 1,000. I guarantee you that I haven't had a single person come back to me and say, I got to 1,000, I still can't walk a line. If you've fallen 1,000 times, you're going to be crushing it. You're probably crushing it far harder than I do. Like, hands down, you can do it. You just have to be willing to, like, take 1,000 falls.
That's amazing. I remember like that was kind of my mentality for crossing big high lines, was like, it doesn't matter how many times, you whip or you catch, like you're gonna cross that line. And
Yeah.
like that's what keeps you going. And I've seen people go out there for multiple hours on end, just catch after catch after catch, just to put in the work. So I love that. That's great. All right. I'm sure you've got some funny stories from being a coach.
Oh. Yeah, well, we can talk. You always uh, talk about the brown pants. So I've got a brown pants story.
Okay, yeah, tell us more at this point.
Okay. So I'm gonna leave it super general. Coach at a competition comes to their co-coach and says, "Yo, I gotta go," and ditches coach number two with like 13 athletes at a competition. And this coach is like, and they're already late, and kids are crazy at competitions, and he's like, what happened? So the coach finally shows back up about an hour later, and coach number two talks to coach number one. I really should have switched those numbers. And was like, dude, what's up? And he was like, well, we were late. I didn't go to the bathroom before we tested the jumps with the kids. I knuckled on jump 3 and I pooped my pants. This is like a 30-something-year-old coach who just like didn't go to the bathroom. So I'm constantly telling kids before we do freestyle, like at lunch, I'm like, go poop. No, like seriously, go poop. And I tell them that story all the time. It's
Hey, I
a
like
good
this
one.
question that just came in. Do you have a favorite sport to coach? Cheer, slack, snowboarding?
Oh, I I think it comes back. Well, I feel most competent at snowboarding. Like, and I think you've experienced that. I remember a moment on the chairlift with you one time that I was like, okay, so here's some basic information about snowboarding's fundamental movements and stance and alignment that will help you, like, understand where you need to be, and this is the strongest position given this, this, that, and the other. It's called reference alignments. And I gave you that little talk, and it makes a big difference in snowboarding. And I feel like with snowboarding, I can make these like big leaps because my depth of knowledge is big. I've spent 17 years and 21 seasons coaching snowboarding.
Wow.
So that's a lot. Um, but I really, honestly, I have a really big passion for teaching slacklining, because, or highlining specifically, because people think they can't do it. Like people are like, I can't possibly do this, and I'm like, here you go. Here's a skill set. Here's a skill set. Here's a skill set. And the next thing you know, they're able to stand and walk on a high line. So, um, I here's a great story. Do you know Dirty Mike?
I know Dirty Mike.
Okay, so Dirty Mike and I, so my first rig with people I didn't know, in which I felt like responsible for safety and understanding all the systems, was with Dirty Mike. And yeah, and we both came out of the experience not exactly sure that we liked each other. And if you know our bond as friends now, you know that like we got over that. But um, so fast forward to the fall of that year, and we spend a bunch of GGBY together, and like a couple weeks after, he sends me pictures. I was the first person to help him onto a highline when he was like 18. He's got like the silver helmet on with the GoPro, and he like hadn't had really any background or ever really done a real highline with exposure before. It was really mind blowing to see, like, if you fast forward like 4 years, he didn't even remember that I was the person until he was like thumbing through pictures and was like, wait, Krista was that girl that got me on the highline for the first time. So those, like, those experiences, those moments where you can like cultivate someone who, by the way, crossed the 900-foot highline at GGBY that year, like, to think that I helped start that's what fuels me. Like, I can be having the worst day ever, and somebody be like, "Oh, hey, Chris, I had a question about snowboarding, or a question about slacklining, or could you spend an hour with me and teach me this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it!" Like, mood change. It's like everything to me to see others succeed and like feel that success. I love attaining my own goals and landing new tricks, and I get super frothy about that too. But I don't think there's a feeling quite like having somebody come back 4 years later and be like, oh my god, you helped me get on my first highline. That to me is like makes my heart thump.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool. Cool. So for everybody that's just tuning in, this is Krista van Parys. Uh, I think it's fair to say professional female athlete in multiple disciplines. You've been a coach for many, many years. Um, let's just go ahead and say certified badass. Um,
Thank you.
and we're talking a little bit on Krista's journey as being a coach. Now, let's flip roles here. And since you've been a coach for so long, and you've been learning and developing expertise in the snowboarding realm, you come across
Hmm.
slacklining just fairly recently in the scheme of things, 5 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
As being a student, what was that like? And who were some of those coaches and some of that inspiration for that transition in your life?
Well, you.
Oh,
Maybe you didn't know that, but actually, you're the first person that was like, you don't actually know what's going on with the rigging, do you? And I was like, no. It was like, you just get on that anyway. And I'm like, mm-hmm. I trust, I trusted the people I didn't know, which is hilarious to think about now because now I'm like a rigging. I'm not super crazy, but I definitely make sure that rigs are spot on now. But I didn't know what I didn't know, and I think you recognize that, and you were like, so let me teach you a few things, and so I took you to that 140-foot line out in Gilman, and you taught me how to rig, which that was my first opportunity that someone explained it like start to finish. As you know, I live close to and have highlined a lot with Ben Donnelly, who is like a total highline nerd. But sometimes his mind flows so fast, and he was changing, like he was evolving his rigging style so quickly as I was like rigging with him that I would be like, "What do you mean a BFK? I swore we were doing sliding X's last week." Um, but he's had a huge part, and he's done things as like, here's my entire rig. If you need to rig this thing, here's all my equipment and all my gear. So he's been like really amazing and supportive of me. And I in here Michelle Griffith. Oh my gosh, like such an inspiration to just see a woman rock up and be like, so we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, you're gonna do that, and just like run a rigging team. That's something that I hadn't seen, prior to seeing Michelle do it. And so, of course, stars in my eyes because she's a beautiful soul and, amazing rigger, amazing slackliner. So that was great to see. And she is probably the first person that coached my movement and was like, try this, try that. And that was my second Highline crossing was pretty much sluice juice with you and the Fort Collins boys and her coaching me. So it was her words that actually got me through that second crossing.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, shoot. All right, Krista. Women in action sports. You know, we're seeing that there's no longer a separation in a lot of action sports between men and women. You're a clear model that represents that these boundaries are being torn down. Like what are we looking at? What's the future look like for women in action sports?
Well, I'll start with this. There was an experiment, math test, which we typically think of as a male intelligence. Um, the control group just got the math test, men and women, and they took it. The experimental group were told prior to the test, um, you may have heard that men score higher on math tests. This test has been evaluated to be equal between the genders. We just wanted to let you know and handed out the test. Females actually, or women, scored higher on the math test when they were told that it was equal. So just by having the information that we are equal, thank you, Mia. Thank you, Kelly Clark. Thanks to all those women that have broken those boundaries that showed us that we can do out. We can do all of this stuff. There are female skaters. Oh, please go check out what the Brazilian skateboarders are doing right now. It is mind blowing what the girls there are doing. Check out Mia, and you will now know that you have a place in this industry. It's it has its opportunity costs. We're still striving for equality and like payment for competitions and payment and sponsorships, but it's there. And if cheer athletes have anything to do with it, thank you, Gabby Butler. And Morgan, if you guys have watched Netflix Cheer, I've worked with those two girls at Woodward before. They are getting that type of sponsorship now. And so if we can take some of those models from the sports that we think of traditionally as female, and we are able to support women in other disciplines and other action sports, I think that it won't be long until, it's completely equal. And so it's just going to be people in action sports, and it doesn't have to be this thing. And that would be the most overjoying thing to me ever, if it's just like, here's our group of highliners, here's our group of snowboarders, and it includes both genders always.
Awesome. Awesome. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, and I
Well,
can't wait until we have our first like trans athletes that are out there like getting sponsorships and getting supported for the athletics that they're doing, and we break some of those stereotypes of like that we have in gender binary type sports. I just want us to be people doing great things and understanding our differences because we have different hormonal influences, and brain scans show that we're slightly different. We've evolved different over time, but we can all arrive at the same destination. We just have to keep, pointing that direction together.
nicely said.
Thanks.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, okay. Let's do this. Let's start. Giving us some last statements here.
Okay.
Like if there's one thing that you want to tell everybody watching this right now, whether or not it's about passion or progression or finding satisfaction in the sports that you love to call your favorite, or whether or not it has to do something with women in action sports. Well, what do you want to tell everybody? What can we end this on?
um, Spend time with it. You know, observe those things that bring us joy. Like do more of it, and remember that joy from the first moments. I think that it's easy for us to progress to a plateau and to then find frustration that we're not able to crush that next goal, or that the opportunity cost of buying the next rig costs x amount of dollars or whatever, like whatever it is that kind of like starts to pain us in our passion, to really remember those first moments, to remember the enthusiasm that we came into it, and then reignite that enthusiasm either in another person or within yourself by focusing on a different aspect of it, but just keep that flowing, and keep that perspective fresh, open, and new. Um, we tend to kind of cycle through things as humans, and um, sometimes we do a disservice to ourselves because this is all a beautiful space and beautiful practice, and if we just see it as that and just love it for what it is and who we are, then we're in a great space, whatever we choose to do.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Krista, for joining us tonight.
Oh,
Thank you.
and
Oh, go for it.
I was going to say thank you for the opportunity. It has been in so many moments. Breathe, and specifically you, has given me a purpose in order to share this Slack love that I have. And I remember the first time I was like, should I rearrange my work schedule and make it happen to come to Breathe? I think I figured it out. And you were like, you will not regret it. That's all you said. You will not regret it. I was like, okay, okay, I'll do this. And then the next year, you're like, would you consider teaching a slackline class? And I was like, what? Me? Little newbie me? Yes, please. And so you've given me a purpose in this community and made me feel welcomed. And so, to all of you guys out there watching, I want to welcome you and let you know that you have a place with Breathe, and you have a place with me, and you have a place with a sport. And I'm here at any time. Ask me questions. I'll be here for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, for everybody out there, Breathe is a community of slackliners, yogis, musicians, artists, climbers, and breathers. We are 7 years old. We've been connecting once a year in the form of a festival, and primarily our purpose and existence is to help people discover their purpose so that we can awaken this world. But tonight, this was a Breathe Pulse, and the Breathe Pulse is a tool for our community to connect with each other. Check out our website, discoverbreathe.com. You can click on our Pulses tab. You can check out some of the upcoming Pulses. We're going to be screening every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central. Next week, we have experiences and education surrounding our LGBTQ family, presented by our very own Breathe Inclusive and Diversity Committee. So make sure you tune in for that. Thank you very much. Thank you
Thank
to
you.
everybody tonight. So this will be live on our Instagram page for the next 24 hours. If you're just tuning in towards the tail end of it, rewind, watch it from the beginning, and then check
Yes.
it out. We'll upload it to YouTube as well. So thanks for everybody joining. We love you all.
Love you all too. See you on the Slack line.
See you guys. DiscoverBreathe.com. Bye, Krista.
Bye, Dakota. Bye, Breathe.